these up when I started cross-listing. This is the first thing. It sold within days. So I was like, oh, woohoo, great. eBay's going to be awesome. And then I didn't have a sale for like, I don't know, 3 weeks. Hi, this is Carrie with Sunshine Vintage Vibes. I am a vintage home decor reseller, and I'm back to talk about what sold in my shop for the month of January 2026. So I am going to do things a little bit differently. I'm going to start with like my totals. And then when I show you all the items that sold, I'm going to do them at 2 or 3 items at a time so I can get through them a lot faster. So I'm going to jump right in. I'm going to put them up here, and then I have my laptop in front of me. So I had 52 sales for the month of January. And I was really happy with the amount of sales I got. And I mean, considering like, I know like November, December are big months. So I had 60 in November and 70, I have my glasses because I can't see sometimes, 78 in December. So 52 for January. I knew it was going to be a drop. I've done some like, I read and watch other, people that are talking about their Etsy or eBay shops. And I knew I would have a drop from December, but I was really happy with 52. So 52, and then my profit. So this is my profit is minus all Etsy or eBay fees, all shipping fees. The only thing that is, and some marketing. So I'm now being charged a little bit of marketing on Etsy. I guess I made too much. I don't know. So all of that is excluded, and this is the profit. So my shop profit. The only thing not excluded is like my own, like if I buy tape or bubble wrap or anything like that. I don't buy boxes. I recycle all boxes. I don't buy any boxes. I have enough people in the community. If you get on Facebook, you can like say, hey, anybody have boxes? And I just use recycled boxes. I put it on all my listings so they know it's going to come in a recycled box. I'd say 90% are Amazon boxes. So they're all pretty good and sturdy. So I don't buy boxes, but that's the only thing not included in this, but all like Etsy fees, shipping fees, marketing fees. So $2,034 I had a profit in my shop in the month of January. So I was really happy with that. And I know considering, what it was in December, I hit just over 3,000. But if you look at November, it was less, 18. So, and let's go back real quick. So 60 sales in November with a profit of 1,918, whereas I had 52 sales in January with a profit of $2,034. So I'm trying to like be better about my margins. I'm trying not to pick up small stuff that doesn't have a lot of margin. In fact, I was out thrifting today and I put stuff back, and then a lady came by and picked it all up, which I was like, okay, good. Let her take care of that. It's a lot of work. I have a lot of listings. It's a lot to handle when you have so many and you're only making $10, $15. So I'm trying to be better about that. And it looks like that's paying off. Now this graph is so sad, but I didn't know how else to show it except like a pie chart. So as you can see, 96% of my shop comes from Etsy. So I started with Etsy at the end of June, and I had one sale in June, and then it's been, consistent. But I started with like 20 listings, and I gradually moved. Now I have just over 400 listings on my Etsy shop, if that gives you a clue as to like why I have these sales. So, and then I had 2 sales on eBay. One was right away. So that was on my 2026 goal list. I did a video last month, what sold, and like a recap, and then my goals. And one of my goals was to start cross-listing. So I did start doing that and have continued to do that. It's called Flip, FLYP. I am not sponsored by them. I did some research. I wanted something to try it out. So it's a 90-day trial. And that worked for me because I wanted to see if I even want to do this before I start paying a monthly fee. Because, all these monthly fees, they start to add up, which is why I don't have a booth, because I don't want that overhead. Not yet. I'm not ready for that overhead. I like everything in my home. I don't have a storage unit. So that's what I'm doing. I am hoping next month, so the month of March, I am hoping to to do a pop-up. I keep talking about it. I did like a mini, we're talking mini pop-up. My younger sister has a flower business and she was selling for Valentine's Day. I went out and I helped her and I brought some stuff to put out on the tables. And I sold two things. I sold a heart box and I sold like these little wine glasses. So I sold 2 items doing that way, which is great. So really I sold 32 items so far in February. So I am going to continue cross-listing now that I realized that on eBay you can list 250 a month. I'm just going to put my whole shop on at eBay as well. That's my plan. I'm hoping to do a pop-up, and then I have been getting my feet wet on WhatNot. I've not scheduled a show. I've been watching a lot of sellers in the vintage marketplace. I've been on Facebook, but I don't know. Be careful if you get on Facebook. There's a lot of negative chatter that is really discouraging. So I'm kind of like refraining from reading Facebook, like the groups I'm in now, because it's so negative. Whereas you get on into the shows and you watch what's working. So I'm contemplating it. So I don't know. I might do it. So I'm still in the figuring it out. So if you are interested in WhatNot, my suggestion is log on and just start jumping into people's shows, listen, watch, interact. I interacted the other day. It was actually a really super fun show. And I think I got like 10 followers and vice versa. I follow them back. It's a really beautiful community like that. That's why I didn't like Facebook, because the groups, because it was so negative. But I don't feel like that when I'm when I'm watching the sellers. It's almost like they're talking about 2 different platforms. But again, just like Etsy or eBay, there's a lot of different categories. So these WhatNot groups aren't necessarily vintage WhatNot sellers. They could be selling absolutely anything. Okay, so we're gonna jump right in. I sold this tea set. It was 2 teapots and a sugar and creamer. The sad thing is I dropped the creamer's lid and it broke, but it did sell $95. I love this vintage Anchor Hawking that sold for $39. And then this purple frog was actually in my personal, it was mine. I had it since the 90s. So I've been kind of going through my stuff and sort of changing it out, stuff that I've had for a long time, and replacing it with some of the new stuff. So that sold for $28. I loved this vintage pure set. These are recyclable, they use recyclable glasses. I was surprised it didn't sell earlier. It could have been the shipping. It sold for $58 and it's really nice. But I kind of got it right at the end of summer. I think I was just figuring it would sell by summertime because it kind of is that sort of, blue, summery, but it did sell for $58. I sold a silver brass bell for $18. I've had that for a while, and brass does sell. This Limoges box, it was so cute. It is a golf bag Limoges boxes. So if you've watched any of my other videos, it was, I think, the Nashville video, I picked up at an estate sale. I picked up 16 Limoges boxes for $400. And you'll see, I've been selling them consistently. Boy, was that a good pickup. And the crazy thing is I left that estate sale. I picked up a couple things and the estate seller and I were chatting, and I kind of was maybe I should buy them. And then I left and went to an appointment, and then I've been thinking about them. I called my mom and she's like, if you think you could sell them, go get them. And so what good advice, because I did, and they have really been such a good seller. Candlestick sell. These sold for $28. I want to say I meant to pop up here, let's see if I can look real quick. So I wanted to see, I did a video of what my top sellers were, and I meant to pull it up so that I could remember. Here they are right now. So brass was number 1, art was number 2, boxes and candles were number 3. So because they tied. Copper 4, office desk decor number 5. So candles were number 3. They were tied for number 3. So these wood ones, I'd had them for a little while. So you can see I use different surfaces. So this silver was my old surface and the white's my new surface. So you can see that how long I've had them. This French copper pan sold for $148. I bought it at the Long Beach flea market, I think in December, for $25. So if you ever see copper pans or any French copper pans or pots, Pick them up. Copper pots and pans, if it's a good price, those sell as well. But French, they sell like fast and good, like 148. So I just went to the Long Beach flea market again in January, and I went to the same vendor, and she had some copper, but no pots and pans. I was bummed. And then I sold this Department 56 house. I love Department 56. I collect Department 56. This is not Snow Village, but I got it late. I got it like beginning of December. So by the time I got it up, it was too late kind of to sell it for Christmas. But I did have a sale after Christmas, so I sold it for $29. I wanted to sell everything, and I didn't. I've packed my Christmas stuff away. I will definitely get it out earlier this year. Last year I got it out like mid-October. I will do it 1st of September. Like after Labor Day, my Christmas is going up on my shop. I suggest you do the same if you're a reseller. This music box, I think it's called a Rouge or Rouge. Rouge. I think it's Rouge. It was beautiful. It was a substantial, like amazing music box. I picked that up at a estate sale in my community, and I picked up Rookwood, Fulper, Roseland. I picked up the most amazing stuff. Everything was $50. I was starting out again, like it'd been 20 years since I was really doing any sort of thrifting. And so I was learning, and if I would have, like now, if I went to a estate sale like that, I probably would have bought 5 times more than I bought. So this sold for $225, which I mean, what I paid for it was almost nothing. This vintage needlepoint stool sold for $128. I picked it up in Palm Desert at the Habitat. I think it was $29. And I have 2 other stools in my shop that are not needlepoint. And so when I saw this, I was like, oh, do I have another stool that doesn't sell? So I picked it up, it sold right away. So needlepoint stools sell. Here are the other Christmas items that I sold after Christmas. These Starbucks mugs sold for $18. I won't pick up any Starbucks mugs. They didn't sell. There's some Christmas stuff that I'm left over. I won't pick it up again. I guess Starbucks mugs sort of had their heyday, and I guess this year they didn't. So they were sold on my after Christmas sale. This vintage espresso set, copper sells. I think it was my 4th top seller, sold for $42. I've now sold, these are second time I've sold a espresso copper set. Can't go wrong with a curio cabinet. This is my second sold. This sold for $138, and I picked it up from a local thrift store. I think it was Christmas time. I needed baskets. I bought it for $10. And then I have another one in my shop right now, and it's not as old as this one, but I want to say it's in like 6 people's carts, so it probably is going to sell any minute now. This vintage metal candle holder I've had for a while. It sold for $19. I won't pick up anything like that again. It just didn't sell. I don't even know if it was in people's carts. I picked up a lot of stuff those first few months, so I'd have inventory, but there's now stuff. I was at estate sales this morning, and I passed on a lot of things because I don't need more inventory of stuff that's not selling. But needlepoint sells. This did sell $42. It was a pretty substantial piece, but it was really beautiful. I bought that the same time I bought that brass bell. Here's another vintage Rouge music box, but this one was tiny, but it was nice. Sold for $38. This glossy wood jewelry box sold for $38 as well. I have another one that needed to be cleaned, so I kind of been cleaning it, and then I got to get that one up. These vintage, like Arabic, Turkish, brass like teapots. This was a little bit smaller and kind of like shiny brass. It sold for $58. I have a larger one that sold as well. I put them in my shop. I don't even think I had any like lookers on it. And then, because you can see who's like if anybody favorites it or if they put them in their cart. And then all of a sudden I sold this one, then I sold the next one. So I bought those at the church sale in Camarillo, which was I picked up so much stuff at that sale. This jumbo whisk, I got it at a garage sale. I sold it for $12. I won't pick up anything like that again. In fact, I've been picking up utensils. I actually am going to I had it up as like a bundle, but I'm going to now bundle them all and sell it as one instead of individually. I didn't ever have them individually. This one was pretty large and it hung. this vintage Lincoln, it's the tea holder like caddy. It sold for 14. I won't pick this up again, even though copper does sell. If I found the whole set, because there's a whole set, I would buy that, but not just one. It took a while to sell. Here is the other Limoges boxes I sold. I sold both of these for $98. So some of the Limoges boxes have trinkets inside. So if you don't know what a Limoges box is, you can Google it, or you can get onto my Etsy shop and you can see I have a bunch that sold and a bunch that are still on there. And they are hand painted in Limoges, France. And they are like very hard to come by, hard to find. They're all unique. They all have like initials signed on the bottom, hand painted initials. They usually have like, some of them are limited editions. So they're quite like precious items. And so I sold each of these for $98. So that Limoges pickup was so great. This Native American basket sold for $38. I had a bunch of baskets. I didn't buy any more. Then I sold out, and then I got a bunch more, and now I've been selling them. So it's kind of a consistent seller. So I will pick them up if I find them. Copper sells, especially my boxes. Boxes was number 3. Copper was number 4, so this sold for $38. It was a Guban, I think that's how you pronounce it, Guban. My trays, I'll tell you what I love about these trays. So this is like a melamine tray, sold for $25. I want to say I bought it for like $1 or $2 at an estate sale. And I have been selling these trays. I want to say this is my 3rd tray that has sold. And the beauty about these is that when you see them out, like maybe not at a thrift store, but at an estate sale, a garage sale, people don't think they're worth anything because they're they think they're plastic, but because they're melamine and they, like this one had made in Italy on the back, it had a made in Italy sticker. So it had value. So I'd pick them up $25 and it was like $2 worth it to me. No, another Polish box sold for $25. This Ralph Lauren ring was actually mine. It came from the Beverly Hills Ralph Lauren store. I got it back in the 90s. I wore it all the time, but then I just stopped wearing it, and then it's a little bit tight. It doesn't fit on my pinky. It's not adjustable, and it's too tight for my other fingers. I love rings, but I just stopped wearing them. I actually have 2 of them. I have a brass, and this one was sterling silver. So I put them both up, and this one sold for $198. Here is the other Turkish, Arabic teapot that sold. This one sold for $78. So if I see those out, so brass was my number 1 seller in 2025. So I will pick up brass, and now I wasn't sure those sold. Both of them sold. So if I see those out, I will pick them up. Here's another Limoges box. As I said, this one sold for $298. If you ever see Limoges boxes, again, I was out thrifting this morning, and there was a couple of boxes I thought they were, but they weren't. But it was like, ooh, I hope it's a Limoges, but it wasn't. So if you see them out, and even if they're priced high, if they're priced well enough, do your research, like Google Lens it, and see if it's got some value, because they do sell. So $298 for that one. But this one had the trinket inside. It had that little heart. That's like comes inside, which is like makes it special. But the Taj Mahal is like, it was a really cool one. I picked this little pocket, like a leather, it was tiny. It was like a little leather, like a notepad. And it was from the late 20s, Boston Belting Company. But there was some writing in it from the 1940s. So that sold for $28. This matcha bowl sold for $14. I've had it in my shop a while. It was really nice, just didn't sell. Art was my number 2 seller. This little piece of watercolor I picked up at a garage sale. It sold for $38. I pick up art whenever I can. In fact, I picked up a lot of art today. Art was the theme today. This little butter dish was actually in my own, it was in my kitchen. It was mine. I bought it years ago. I bought my mom one too, but I don't know if I ever used it. So again, I've been trying to clean out stuff that I'm just not using. And like, I'm using one of the stone stoneware pots and like, so I'm starting to use the stuff I've been thrifting and kind of cleaning out the stuff that I haven't used. So this vintage wine rack sold for $138. So I bought this at a Goodwill for, I want to say it was like $9.99. It was like $12.99 at the absolute most. It was large. I sold the smaller one. I'll pop up a picture of the smaller one I sold. Heavy to ship. I did give this buyer a little break because the shipping was so expensive. So I did discount the item just because the shipping was so high. I picked this. This is like a market hanging scale. This sold for $34. Picked that up at a estate sale. Picked up these vintage pink depression glass. I love depression glass. I collect yellow. So I picked these 4 up, and then you're going to see a set of 2 at Goodwill in Murrieta for $7.99. And they were priced together. They never price stuff together, at least not at that one. So I was so happy. I sold these for $48, and then I think the other ones are $28. And just, it was like, January 23rd, people getting ready for Valentine's Day. Again, don't wait. Like holidays, like Easter, I have not that I have like a lot of Easter stuff, but anything spring, you got to get it up now. Don't wait till like March, a couple of months before, because people buy way before. More copper. This was a little fondue set, sold for $62. Here are the other pink depression glasses. Those sold for $28. This tray I got in my Utah trip. I went on a road trip to see my son when he was in Utah, and I was just gonna go do a little thrifting, and it ended up being like an epic thrift road trip. Like crazy. Everything was like $1, $1.50. It was insane how much stuff I got. I mean, I was driving, thank goodness, because my car was packed. So this was something that I picked up. It is a Toastmasters toast and jam tray. It was a wood tray and it was in really rough shape. I oiled it up. So when I listed it, I had a Toastmasters salesman reach out to me on Etsy, and we chatted back and forth about this tray, and he said my information was correct. I think I said 1950s, and he gave me the 1953. He told me what year it was, and that this tray was like valuable and like it's rare, and he has one, and we chatted back and forth. But it was really cool to have that connection with somebody who had been like a Toastmaster salesman for like 30 years and knew like this product. So this sold for $30. This is a mold, a shortbread mold. I got it at Salvation Army. You can at Salvation Army, they have the items within their boxes, which I love. So I go there, but sometimes it's overwhelming because you have to dig. So I did dig. I found this. I bought it. I never bought anything like that before, and it sold like within days. It sold. So $32. If I ever see these out, I will buy them because it sold so quick. This Pyrex dish sold for $28, picked up at a garage sale for like $3. This vintage copper snuffer, that one sold pretty quick too, $22. I have quite a bit of snuffers. I've been picking them up, if they're reasonable price, because they're kind of consistent. Like with like candle holders and snuffers, it's a pretty consistent sale. So I sold 2 brooches. I have had these brooches in my shop since late summer. I went to this local thrift store that they're not open Wednesday to Saturday, I think. And I bought a bunch of brooches, and then they sat and nobody looked at them and nobody cared about them. Then all of a sudden the trend is brooches. So brooches are super trendy right now. Everybody's wearing them on their lapels, on their purses, on their shoes. I've always been into I have my own brooches and pins that I like, and I keep them on my jackets, certain jackets. But they're super trendy right now. So I sold these both $18 each. Like you can see, they were within 2 days of each other, which was so fun. And then another piece of art. Art was my number 2 seller. I love selling art. I love finding art. I mean, of course we love selling art, but I love finding art. I found a bunch of art today. Art's one of my favorite things to pick up. This one, it was small, sold for $38. So I had one more sale that I didn't calculate in the beginning. So I sold one of these pillows. So when you do a variant, right, if you have two in stock of anything, like, if you do candlesticks or whatever, like for this example, pillows, I had two pillows. I was selling them separate. I had them selling together and I was having no activity. So I've decided I'm going to sell them separate. And then I sold the sunflower one. I sold it for $28. So I still have the other one, but it doesn't pop up on your sold out, which I wish they would do. I know it's not sold out, but it should pop up. I don't know. It's something I wish Etsy would do. So then I sold this on eBay. So I picked this up on my Utah trip that I mentioned. I picked it up when I stopped in North Las Vegas and hit two stores. And I want to say it was at the Goodwill, North Las Vegas. And it is a really cool, like, sculpture wave. I sold it for $40. I wish, like, eBay doesn't have a spot where I can, like, screenshot. Like, Etsy is so great. So I haven't figured it out. If you know how to, like, do a really great screen grab on eBay to get the price, I can't do it without having the buyer's information on there. So I haven't figured it out yet. So I sold this in January. I don't even have the date, but it sold for $40. I did never put it on Etsy because it's two reasons: not vintage, and the designer of this has a shop on Etsy and sells on Etsy. So they don't want you doing that. They don't want you selling somebody else's design that's on, like, a current. That's at least what I've read, but it's not vintage. So it went on eBay automatically. And so it sold for $40. So these candlesticks, so I have both of them together here. These candlesticks, they are yellow depression glass or yellow glass. And the one on the left, that's Fuss Story. I picked it up thrifting. And then the other one on the right is actually mine. It was single. I never used it. I don't really have a lot of candlesticks. I have, like, I don't know. I don't really use a lot of candlesticks. So as I mentioned, I'm going through my house and I put these up when I started cross listing. This is the first thing. It sold within days. So I was like, oh, woohoo, great. eBay's going to be awesome. And then I didn't have a sale for, like, I don't know, 3 weeks until the other one sold. So these sold for $28. So that is all of my sales. I'll put this back up so you can see it. Again, I had 52 sales total for the month of January, 50 from Etsy and 2 from eBay. I had a profit of $2,034. That's profit. That already has the Etsy fees, shipping, all of that subtracted, including, like, eBay as well. It's all together. That is my month. I'm going to just keep going. I'm doing some behind the scenes. So I'm trying to get that out. I've been doing a little bit of, like, redoing. I got a new piece of furniture in here. I'm redoing my inventory. I have been doing a little bit of, like, changing things over. I'm showing, like, my shipping and all of that. So I'm going to be doing a behind the scenes. It might come in a couple of different parts because you'll see me in different outfits because I'm doing it at different times. So I might just do it otherwise it's going to be maybe strange having, like, 3 different outfits. I don't know. Does anybody care? No, they just want the information. So thank you again for watching. Please, if you are a reseller, I'd love to know how you're doing. How's your shop? Are you on Etsy? Are you on eBay? Like, tell me what's going on. I love to hear what's happening in other people's reseller shops. I'm always on, different groups, searching, trying to find out what's happening in other people's shops because it totally helps me. So that's why I'm doing this, because I hope it helps you. It's good for me too, because then it makes me, like, do the numbers. I got to get my spreadsheet out. So, like, now for, like, taxes, I have all the information because I do this every month. So it's really good for me as well. So if you haven't subscribed, please do so. I had a mini goal. I hit it. Yay. Now I have another, like, bigger goal I'm hoping to hit before this summer. So I appreciate it if you could subscribe. I'm always on Instagram, so check me out there. If not, we will see you next time. Thanks. Bye.